Okay, so early stage of the deal cycle, like what Nick was saying, super, super important for nailing your competitive differentiation. So the tactic I'm going to talk about here is called a quick dismiss. And it's basically something that any seller who is in competitive deals, you probably want to have a quick dismiss for at least your top competitors. And this is basically the talk track that you use when you get asked the question, what makes you different from XYZ competitor? So it's a very, very high level, quick dismiss. It's a quick talk track to help you in those conversations. So the reason that you probably want to have this in your back pocket is because inevitably you're going to get asked that question at some point. And if you absolutely nail the quick dismiss at the right time based on your buyer's needs, this can be the difference between, you, like Nick says, you being Sisyphus pushing this boulder up the hill for the rest of your deal, or this being smooth sailing. So the quick dismiss can be really helpful in that sense. So there's basically 5 different components to a quick dismiss talk track. 1, acknowledging your competitor's existence. 2, complimenting them, but complimenting them in a box. 3rd is stating their limitations. 4th is bringing it back to your differentiated value. And then 5th is asking a follow-up question, hopefully a leading question that kind of sets you up for the next part of the conversation. So an example of this that I've got sitting in front of me here with intercom versus drift. So let's say that I'm intercom and I'm competing against drift. The first thing that I'm probably going to want to do at some point in this deal cycle is say like, hey, who else are you evaluating? A lot of sellers, they don't actually ask. So it's very important that you just ask, in plain terms, who else are you evaluating? I want to help you make the right decision here. But then once you've done that, acknowledging the competitor's existence, like, yes, we know about Drift. They're a really amazing chatbot for converting website visitors into leads. So that's complementing them into a box. Stating their limitations. So that said, they often struggle as a platform when it comes to supporting the rest of the customer journey beyond just lead generation. Bring it back to your value. At Intercom, we're designed to support your customers through the entire customer journey, from acquisition to onboarding to ongoing support. And of course, we still do the basics of lead generation. And then last is asking that follow-up question. So curious, when you're thinking about the goals for your customer engagement platform, how important is it that your solution supports your entire customer journey, not just lead generation? So you can see a few components in that talk track there. You're acknowledging the competitor. You're kind of painting them in this box. You're giving them a compliment saying they're amazing at lead generation. If the prospect's goals aren't really around lead generation, then it's totally fine. Compliment them in that box. Put them in this box of lead generation. But your buyer, if they really care about customer support, then this is going to help you strike that difference between you and your competitor in a really, really simple way. So that's basically what the quick dismiss is all about. It's about quickly dismissing your competitor, putting them in this corner, and then emphasizing your value over here and setting the conversation up to reinforce your differentiators later on.
One thing that I might add to that is if you get asked by a prospect, what makes you different? That can be a dangerous question to directly answer without first doing some micro-calibration with them to understand the intent behind that question. And so what I might do before I go down that road of the quick dismiss is they go, Nick, what makes you different than Intercom? Or what makes you different than Drift? I'm going to go, well, gosh, there's a lot of things. I could talk about how our workflows are a bit different. I could talk about how our approach to developing technology is a little different. I could talk about the community that we've built and some of the differentiators there. But honestly, I don't think you want me to talk at you for like the next 22 minutes about all of the ways that we're different. When you think about what you're looking for in a ABC tool, is there a specific thing that really stands out to you, or are there specific areas that really matter? And now what I can do is I can get a little more detail about their priorities, and that can now inform, because generally when you're going to do a quick dismiss, there's probably 2 or 3 or 4 different routes you could go down. And now I can better tailor my answer to dismissing the competitor on the grounds of, oh, you care about this? Well, that's actually one of the areas they're not as strong. So I would encourage folks to ask the question behind the question, or get to the question behind the question when they ask you that.
Yeah, 100%. It's going to boil down to discovery, like really understanding what your buyer's trying trying to achieve. Because let's say in this example, your buyer really does care about lead generation. You could shoot yourself in the foot by then saying, hey, Drift is great at lead generation.
Yeah.
So this really comes down to you need to first understand really what your buyer's trying to get at. And then, yeah, Nick, to your point, like when they ask that question, maybe lead in with a little bit more discovery before you actually start going down the quick dismiss path. That's a great call out.
Understand the winning zones.
Exactly.
Understand the winning zone.
Well, what you do is they just asked you for some information. And so if you think about like the rule of reciprocity, they asked you for something. You have every right now to ask for something in return. And you incentivize them further. What you're asking for return is give me more information about what you care about. And you incentivize them by saying, hey, I'm sure you don't want me to ramble for the next 22 minutes about all of the ways that we're different. Help me calibrate my answer and give me a little bit more. So I love doing it when somebody asks me a question where I'm like, okay, there's a lot behind that I want to unpack before I answer.
I'm curious on that final sort of follow-up question. Do you have any takes, advice on how to best deliver that final question in a way that doesn't feel too leading? Like what are you looking to accomplish with that question after you've understood what they're looking for? You've done your quick dismiss. What are you trying to accomplish with that question?
It matters less about the words that you say and more about how you say it. And so, let me just pull up the brief on the question, and I'm going to read it word for word in a way you shouldn't say it, where you go through, okay, yeah, we know about Drift. That said, they don't help with all this. Curious, Adam, when you think about the goals that you have for customer engagement platforms, how important is it to you that your solution supports the entire customer journey, not just lead generation? Like, that's like clearly like I'm coming from a script, I'm out of the box versus I'd be like, okay, so I just told you how we're different. I guess I'm curious, Adam, when you think about what you're looking for in a customer engagement platform, how much does that matter to you? How much does it matter that your platform supports the entire workflow versus the one part? Because I've seen people go different ways. I actually neutralize it with that last statement where I'm like, I've seen people do it differently. How important is it to you? Again, I think one of the areas that helps salespeople win competitive deals is acknowledging that your competitor's in business for a reason. And they do good work. They generally do good work. Sometimes we like to demonize or villainize our competitors internally. And we love to share competitive intel about, oh, look, they just had an issue with support, or we heard this from this customer when they complained. The reality is most of our competitors, they do good work and they're good people and they do their best to take care of their customers. And there's a reason that they're in business. And they're not for everyone, just like we're not for everyone. And when you come across as a bit more neutral, you create this space for your prospects to almost see you more as of a consultant, which is what we want to do. We want them to say, okay, Nick is obviously biased. He wants to sell the deal for Klue, but Nick isn't coming at this rah, nobody's better than Klue. We're the perfect fit for every single business out there. I've seen people go different ways. Here's where we're better. Here's where they're better. And I'm educating them on, hey, I am a little bit biased. Don't get me wrong. I'm trying to set the criteria in my favor, but I'm also acknowledging, hey, we're not perfect. They're in business for a reason.